Alabama head coach Nick Saban is at SEC Media Days. It feels like for the 100th year, so I know you look ultra forward to this event. We were just talking about carrot cake, which I tried for the first time 3 months ago, and you've been preaching the virtues of it today. How down did you look on me when I told you I'd never had it until recently?
I'd say, what kind of life are you living, man?
A very sheltered one. Here's the other kind of sheltered life I'm living. I've not been to Italy. You just came back from there. So tour guide me for like 30 seconds. And
oh,
how
it's
much
great,
would you recommend
man.
it?
Florence is great. Tuscany is great. Rome's great. Amalfi Coast was great. People were great. Food's great. Really interesting. I mean, really well. I didn't really want to go. I didn't want to be away for 10 days, but it was our anniversary thing that Miss Terry started on at 49 years, and we finally went at 51. So I got out of it for 2 years, but then I ran out of gas. So, but I was really, really pleased that we went, and it was a wonderful experience. And it's a great anniversary present given by my business partner, Joe Cressy.
So then you get back here, you got this event, and then eventually we're about to open fall camp. I was looking back last year, and you didn't ultimately accomplish what you wanted to at the finish line, but when I looked at the body of work, there were close losses, there were close wins. I don't remember you guys being in as many close games as you were last year. When you go back and self-assess from yourself, team, staff, everyone, was there one or two things maybe that you attributed that to?
I can't, totally put my finger on it, but I think there was a lot of really high expectations for last year's team, probably because of Bryce Young and a great player that he was. And I think sometimes when you have a team that has a couple great players, maybe the other people don't take the responsibility and accountability to do their part as well because they're thinking these guys are going to carry us or whatever. So I don't know that – I know the players wanted to win because we had a lot of anxiety in critical moments in critical games and made a lot of mental errors that cost us games in the 2 games that we lost on the last play of the game. And we did have more close games than we've ever had before. And I think that shows you that there's more good teams, that we played. And I think that's going to continue in the future.
Looking all around the sport, you get asked this all the time. I'm going to give you one, and we'll move on from it. All the changes happening. It seems like everything's on a 10, on the 1 to 10 scale of crisis and freak out. And I've heard you say recently, and I'd ask you to go further into it, not everything is the end of the world. Some things are just changes, and you got to roll with them, and the best will figure it out, and the worst you won't hear from 5 years from now.
Yeah, I think it doesn't do any good to sort of overanalyze the circumstance or have an opinion or a judge or to judge how things are, as it is important to try to figure out how do we need to adapt to this to be able to continue to be successful. And I always just look at it as a challenge, an opportunity to sort of create the changes that are necessary to be able to continue to be successful. But it is challenging because it's different. And the motivation changes for people in the circumstances that we're in right now. And some people are going to fit that and the culture that you have, and some people aren't. And you just got to get the right guys on the bus and get the wrong guys off the bus and get them in the right seats and see if you can have success.
You guys had the challenge of replacing 2 coordinators. You've got the quarterback challenge, obviously, that you've yet to figure out. How intricate is the process? And from the public's perspective, they just see you got an opening, you hire a guy. How thorough and how intricate and how difficult sometimes is the hiring process, even for guys at the top of the mountain like you?
Yeah, I think it's really, really difficult. I think people don't realize the circumstances that go around hiring. First of all, there's personal issues that people have. There's contractual issues that some people are not hireable because of the buyouts that they have and the contracts that they have. So you got to figure out, philosophically, how does this guy fit? Does he have the kind of character that you want in terms of the kind of leadership and example that he'll provide for your players? Has he got positive energy? Is he enthusiastic? Can he develop relationships with the players that are going to help motivate them so they can be the best that they can be? And is he going to buy into doing things the way we have done them in the way we want to do them. And I think when you take those things and you find the right people and the right fits for that, I think it's helps you to be successful.
I'll give you a perspective. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. I look at your tailback room. I think there's a lot of talent there. I think your offensive line looks potentially very, very good. You've got a new coordinator in there. We don't know who's starting at quarterback. If you do, you're not giving that up yet. Would it be fair for me to assume maybe fundamentally a little bit of a shift back to maybe what I saw from you a decade ago? A little more sledgehammer offensively?
Well, I think we have to do what our players can do best. We do have good runners. I think the offensive line will be improved, even though we lost a couple really good players. I think the young players that we have can play the kind of football that we'd like to play with this team. I think we've added some guys at tight end that can block well enough to be effective. I do think the receivers, the same group we had a year ago, will mature and play even better. So I do think we can have a more balanced offense. I think we became a little bit too much Bryce-oriented type of offense, pass, 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 pass. Didn't dominate the line of scrimmage, couldn't run the ball when we needed to effectively. So, and I think those things we have to do a better job, not turning it over, getting more turnovers on defense, which we were not very good at a year ago. And those are significant stats that impact games.
I know you're not in the hype business. We kind of are a little bit. When Minkah Fitzpatrick came to Alabama, I remember every coach that watched him, every analyst that watched him, they said, you don't see many come out of high school like him. And they said the same thing about Caleb Downs this last cycle. And you've seen him through spring. You've spoken glowingly of him. What kind of player could he be?
He'd be great. He's a very good player. I don't like to create these accolades and expectations for players. I like them to stay focused on the process and do what they need to do their job, be accountable to themselves and their teammates to create value for themselves and the team. So Caleb is a bright guy. He's kind of a smart guy that football is really important to, but he does everything to a high level in his life. He's a good person. He's a very good student. He's a student of the game, and he works really hard to get it right on the field. So, and he's conscientious. So I think he has a very bright future.
The public watches Will Anderson walk out the door, and the public probably thinks, man, that's really detrimental to their pass rush, and he's a great talent. You guys have other talents there. You've got Dallas Turner here today. You may have other names that haven't even flashed on the radar yet that we learn about this fall. Going into fall camp, how do you feel about the potential of your pass rush?
Well, I think Will was a great player, and you don't really replace a guy like Will, but Dallas has been very productive. Chris Braswell has been very productive, in the past. I think we have a couple other outside backers that can make a contribution to the team. It's important when you play a 3-4 defense that your rushers come from the linebacker position because you're going to play with a little bigger guys up front, and it may not be their forte to be edge rushers. So that's a very important aspect of what we do, but I feel good about the guys that we have coming back.
Alabama head coach Nick Saban, we always appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.